October 25th, 1415. Dawn. A French knight's boot sinks ankle-deep into mud that smells like rot and horses. His commander shouts orders he can't hear over the roar. Not thunder, not wind, something that shouldn't exist for another 600 years. Behind him, a 70-ton M1 Abrams main battle tank churns through the muck like a demon from hell. 5,000 English longbowmen stand behind sharpened stakes, outnumbered 3-1. In the original timeline, French knights charge across freshly plowed farmland and sink to their deaths. 7,000 nobles die face down in clay mud, shot to pieces by English commoners with wooden bows. But today, something changes. At 0600 hours, English scouts sprint back to Henry V with impossible news. The French have brought an iron beast that moves on its own, roaring like Judgment Day. Arrows bounce off it like rain off castle walls. Henry orders stakes reinforced and fallback positions prepared. Surely one machine can't overcome terrain that already drowned thousands. The M1 Abrams weighs 67 tons, but spreads that weight across wide treads. Ground pressure only 15 pounds per square inch compared to the 25 to 30 psi of a warhorse carrying an armored knight. The tank carries 40 rounds of 120mm ammunition that can delete buildings, 3 machine guns, and composite armor that laughs at modern anti-tank rounds. To medieval soldiers, this is the end of the world on treads. French command faces the eternal question. Use it smart as long-range artillery, or send it charging into the mud like every French cavalry assault for the past century. This is French nobility we're talking about. They charge. At 0700, the tank begins its advance. Behind it, 2,000 French knights watch in silence. Some cross themselves, others grip their reins tighter. One mutters about demons and witchcraft, but nobody tells him to shut up because they're all thinking it. At 0705, 5,000 English longbowmen fire. The sky goes dark. 300,000 arrows launched in 60 seconds. The storm hits the tank and sounds like the world's angriest hailstorm. Not a single arrow penetrates. Visible panic spreads through English ranks. Some archers drop their bows and run. Henry V roars that it's just one beast and they are thousands. The English hold, barely. At 0715, the tank reaches 400 meters. Weapons free. The 120mm cannon erupts with a sound medieval ears have never processed. The high-explosive round detonates and men simply cease to exist. 67 bodies reduced to red mist and flying metal. The blast wave throws another 30 men 20 feet backward, ears bleeding, lungs collapsed. 200 archers who survive unscathed drop their bows anyway because their brains can't reconcile what their eyes just witnessed. Some piss themselves. Others vomit. One screams for his mother. At 0720, the tank fires again. Stakes explode into splinters. A 20-meter gap opens in the defensive perimeter. French knights cheer. The tank is now at 300 meters, moving at 8 miles per hour. Mud depth 14 inches and rising. At 0725, everything changes. 250 meters from the English line. The driver's voice cracks over the intercom. Sir, we've got a problem. Left tread is slipping. Ground is giving way beneath us. The tank lurches. 70 tons of American steel suddenly feels like it's standing on ice. Every man in the crew feels their stomach drop because they've all heard the stories. Tanks that get stuck become coffins, metal tombs surrounded by enemies with all the time in the world. The commander makes the only choice a tanker can make. Fuck it. Push through. At 0729, 200 English knights charge the tank. Not because they think they can win, because watching their friends evaporate from invisible fire has broken something in their heads, and charging feels better than standing still. Sir William Harcourt swings his grandfather's sword at the left tread with both hands. The blade shatters on impact, and the recoil breaks his wrist. He screams. Sir John Cornwall climbs onto the hull, wielding a war hammer, and manages to dent the armor exactly 1/8 of an inch before the .50 caliber machine gun finds him. His body slides off the tank and lands in the mud with a wet slap. The coaxial gun cuts down 50 knights in 12 seconds. The remaining 25 are in the gun's dead zones, screaming, pounding on armor with bare fists because their weapons are gone. One knight weeps openly. Another prays in Latin. A third wedges his warhammer into the exhaust port. Inside the tank, warning lights flash, engine temperature rising. At 0735, 500 French knights on horseback crash into the English attacking the tank. Brutal melee, English forced back. Hammer removed, engine temperature normalizes. Tank continues to advance, slowly. At 0740, fourth shell hits English archer rear formation. 800 archers flee. English strength collapses from 9,000 to 7,200. At 0745, tank reaches 100 meters. Henry V joins the line himself. Tank commander switches to machine guns. Medieval armor can't stop bullets traveling 3 times the speed of sound. Knights fall in rows. At 0748, final English charge. For England and St. George. Tank response, 5th shell. High explosive at point-blank range. Detonates 30 meters out. Shockwave and shrapnel devastate the charge. At 0750, English line breaks completely. Henry makes the only rational decision. Fall back to Calais. Withdrawal starts organized, becomes rout. Historical divergence complete. English casualties 3,000 to 4,000 versus historical 400. French casualties 200 to 300 versus historical 7,000. But what if the tank had bogged at 0725? Stuck at 250 meters, treads spinning, digging deeper. Henry sees opportunity. The beast is trapped. Hold ground. It cannot reach them. Tank becomes stationary fire base. French infantry advance, but English archers focus on unarmored men. French take 500 casualties in 10 minutes. Advance stalls. By 0800, all 40 shells gone. Stalemate. Henry withdraws at darkness. Tank crew abandons vehicle at dawn. The Iron Beast of Agincourt becomes legend. So here's the final question. Could one M1 Abrams have changed Agincourt? Yes, if deployed as artillery. If French used it smart instead of charging. If mud was shallower. But that's the point. Technology doesn't guarantee victory. The French lost Agincourt because they were overconfident and the ground was shit. Giving them a tank solves the armor problem, but not the stupidity problem. The mud claimed French nobility in 1415. It would have been happy to claim American steel, too, because mud doesn't care about fire control systems or composite armor. It just pulls everything down eventually. Every empire thinks their technology makes them invincible. Every generation thinks they've overcome the limits that crushed their ancestors. And every time something as simple as mud proves them wrong. What do you think? Does technology beat terrain, or does physics always win? Drop your battlefield theories in the comments. Subscribe to see what happens when a Roman legion storms a modern military base. Hit that bell because next week we're sending Navy SEALs into the Colosseum and it's going to be a bloodbath. Thanks for watching.